Hello there, it's William Jamin. So let's continue our character sculpting. So we have already made the upper body, and let's continue to finish the leg part. And the interesting about making the leg is that some people may think that it would just mask this part and just extrude it out. But it's not as easy as that, because if you just clearly got a bunk extrude and you need to carve the center part, because if you already switch the mirror X on, anything you do, it will just simultaneously just drag everything down, and there will be no separation in the middle, which is not what we want. So if you're going to mask, you do need to remember just to make the brush size a little bit smaller. So F, make it smaller. Let me just get a screencast key, right? So you need to make it smaller, and say I got here and mask something like this, okay, and then you can extrude out. Okay, let me do something like this. You need to keep the center part separated, and you want to invert that. So Control I to invert it, and what I'm going to do is to extrude it by using this move functionality. Of course, sculpt, we need to set the pivot to unmask area, which is the area that's here. And what I'm going to do is to extrude everything out, and that looks perfect. Okay, so I know it looks funny right now, but just bear with me, alright? So let's just extrude it. I think maybe just make it smaller so I can get a great proportion view of it. Of course, if you don't want the perspective extrude view, you can do just your one. Okay, so you can get the frontal view of it, and probably you just make the leg a little bit longer so it can have more leeway for you to work it on. And side view, yeah, I think maybe that's it. For now, you don't need to change the shape too much, because we're going to add a lot of muscle on the leg. So just like you are setting the bone area, okay? And as for the length, how long just extend this leg, and I think it's good. I think approximately you got to have the same length as the upper body. So if the lower body is shorter than upper body, it become unless you want something comical like a Superman, have a extremely big chest but pretty short, and some sort of a comical leg. So unless you want to do that, but if you are doing the actual, or if you want to just do a super realistic man, or in this case a devil, something like that, you at least you got the same length up as this upper body, probably a little bit longer. Okay, once it is done, you can Alt and M, just get rid of all the selection. And what I'm going to do is to remember this area, right? It's the waist, below the waist crotch area. I'm not going to too detail about that, because if I go too detailed, this video will never be published on YouTube or something like that. So I'll just pretend that he's wearing underwear. Okay, so you just give a little bit bulge here, and so basically, because I use the same item here called the body, okay, so it's the exact same object, okay, so it's connected. So I'm going to connect that rather than just got a clear changes for that. So what I'm going to do is to use this clay strip as one of my favorite brush, okay, and I'm going to place at the center of it, just scale it up, okay. And what I'm going to do, because for now we still got the mirror on, okay, so let's just adding this area, make a little bit bulge at the center of it, okay, as if he's wearing a sort of underwear. Okay, just make things natural. nothing weird. And I think I might just need to grab this part out a little bit, because now I think maybe just need to inflate this part. Okay, so yeah, I don't want this sort of like split sort of feeling for it. So what I'm going to do is to inflate this area. Okay, so and of course we need to control an R to just to recreate all the mesh, so it won't get this sort of too weird feeling about it. And you can go to side view, of course. You can go to 3, go to side view, and you can just use this to grab F, okay, click and drag and hold that. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty good. And then you can go use the clay strip to get the small brush, get this detail sort of connected. So you got this ending point and the little bulge in the crouch area, and clearly this proportion of the legs is not as good as I think. So I'm going to make the brush a little bit bigger, and to make this to bulge it out. Of course, you can use all sort of methods. For example, you can use this inflate or use the blob, but I think the grabbing is the way that you got more control, and you got the fairly large brush here. And this part clearly need a little bit fine tuning. Don't worry about it. You use clay strip, and what I'm going to do is to fill this weird area. Okay, let's not worry about the back, but let's fill the front. Yeah, because yeah, we can only focus on one viewpoint at a time. Let me focus on here. So once I add a little bit bumpiness to his leg, I'm going to using a clay brush to adding volume. Okay, not only the front but also the back, maybe the glute area, adding a little bit. Remember, you are working on a male here, so you don't need something too crazy with the butt area. You don't want too bulge or too curve it out, but preferably just yeah, at most the same width as the upper body part. So okay, I think that's already pretty decent width of it, and I think might get a little bit weird parts in the center, so I think I might as well just grab this part out. Okay, so sort of separate the whole part out, because I think when I drag this leg down, it's probably to just go left and right to give it a little bit angle here. Of course, you can rig that later, but it's not the best course of action. Let me just make it pretty big, and I like to pull it out a little bit, but that will affect your upper body as well. So I think this yeah, that's not good. Yeah, what I'm trying to do is to get it more separated. So I think maybe just quicker to redo it. Okay, guys, I just reopened the previous checkpoint The reason for I not edit this part out is that I want to show you guys sometimes it's better to just redo it rather than fine-tuning the thing that you have been working out and you have a clearly feeling about this not being good enough for you to revise it. Okay, so let's just, I think the reason for me not getting that good enough is that the mask part is too big. Okay, so I tend to just close it, and I don't want that this time. So what I'm going to do is to make it side and as small as possible. Okay, because we can always fill it to inflate it and revise it, and say adding the clay strip, okay, on it. So yeah, don't worry about it. So let me make it full screen, get a screencast here out, and what I'm gonna do is to invert it and to move it by choosing the move option. I think we have done this multiple times. You already got the hang of it, right? So pivot to let me just get the mask border here. Okay, and let's just drag it out. I think this time is pretty good. We got a pretty decent space in between. Okay, let me just use one and make it smaller and approximately the same length, but a little bit longer than that, because I want this to be a pretty good proportion. And once you are satisfied with it, you can Alt and M to exit it, go to the grab, because the grab is for the generalized revision, and using clay strip brushes for the fine tuning part. So first I'm going to grab the center part down, as well as the left and right parts. So I think maybe a little bit bigger. Maybe just remesh it, because I sense the feeling that's pretty hard for you to grab. Okay, left and right, grab it. And if you have a trouble to grab it up, maybe that you need to add in a little bit of volume here. So let's just add volume. I think it's maybe this is a quicker way of doing it. Okay, so you can clear it to a big brush. Okay, let me add in volume here. Of course, at the center of it, it's better to just grab it, hold it, grab it down, but that's clearly too small. Let me just grab it down a little bit, so a little bit fine tuning, and once you add in a little bit of volume, you can see clearly that you can grabbing that with ease, and I think that's pretty good. Make it smaller. I think that's too much. Let me remesh it. I think the strength may be too much, so it sort of affect the way that we sculpt things. So let me just redo that. And it's pretty strange why it got a pretty weird shape like this. Okay, I think let's just make it pretty subtle. and let me get hold of this part. I think the brush is acting pretty weird right now. There may be a little bit of rendering bug here. So what I'm going to do is, just to be safe, to save it in a different folder. Do not overwrite the previous folder, previous project file, and then to reopen it. Sometimes Blender got a pretty weird glitches like this. Right, and let's add some volume here. So I just restart this, and I think the bug just got fixed. It's pretty weird. Maybe just some settings that I did not recognize, but yeah, never mind. It's working. Okay, so we can add more volume here. Okay, and of course you can control and R to yeah, remesh it, and I think because I add too much of the strength, so the volume just get messed up. Let me just decrease that strength and decrease the brush size, so it won't affect the other side of it. Yeah, that's I think that's better. We're not affecting too much of the other side of it. Okay, that's pretty good. And let me fill in those cavity here. So I think I already found the reason. It's not a bug, is that sort of it just go through the leg and go to the other thigh. So you might think this a little bit weird. Okay, so I think maybe the safest way just to grab some part of it out. Okay, so maybe that's the better way of doing things. Just grab this inner thigh part out. I think I'm going to add in some of the volume here. And I think that's pretty good. Let me add something here, and we can add the bulging slowly. So that's another tip for you, because I learned the hard way. Okay, so if you got too much of strength, it will become pretty weird, and if you're not satisfied, you can add a little bit of volume and then grab it out. Okay, but don't overdo it. Just grab a little bit out, and if not so sure, you can just give it a squint. If you just look at and zoom it out, sometimes I think of it as a squint in drawing a modern process. So if you screens, you get a vague image, sort of a sampling about it, and so you get the all the basic shape, proportion, and yeah, something like that. So I think that's pretty good, and I'm going to make this man a little bit strong, so maybe just to grab it out a bit. Okay, so give it big bulge, something like that. So when the end approximately here, and then rest. Okay, and yeah, and I'm going to do it subtly, so I'm going to use a fairly small brush. This area I do not want to overdo it, but at least you got to add in sort of a shape here. And for the glass area, I'm sort of using this clay strip as well as the cutting of the marker point here. So I tend to adding the basic volume shape first, and then to cut the sort of a landmark. Let me add in a little bit strength here, so it can give it pretty nice butt shape. Okay, so this is like a muscle here. If you want a pretty distinct curve, you can just carve it out, but for now we can just add in a pretty small landmark. Okay, so something like this, you can carve this in, so you just give yourself a landmark here, and know that yeah, you can't do so much down here, rather than just do something like this. You can even add in volume at the center of it, so just to get everything down a bit. Okay, because it's sort of a shape like this, so they will add volume at the side, but don't overdo it. Okay, so just add something like this, and there's a nice curve out here, so I'm going to add that as well. Okay, and then you can adding a little bit curve like this. After that, I'm gonna smooth everything out by doing this. And I think this center part need a little bit drag, so I'm going to get hold of it. Remember, you see that the center point red dot here, not red, yellow dot here, is the place where we can get a hold of it and grab everything down. Okay, I think I may need to add a little bit. Okay, and of course at the center line you can just carve it out, a little bit of carve, but nothing too crazy. Okay, and I think the best way of doing it is just using a smaller brush and to get a side of it and give a little bit butt feeling like this. Okay, and I think I need to add a little bit of volume at the side, so it won't get too weird of and that's clearly pretty big, so I think the strength of the brushes needs to be subtle a little. So probably just a subtle bulge, and I think that's it. I'm going to fine tune this by get this waistline a little bit bulged out, something like that. I think probably just a sort of a direct line in the center. Hold the things, grab it down. Okay. And this part I think we can push it in a bit. The side, pushing. We don't want anything too crazy. This part push it in a bit. Let me give you a firm look. Smooth it. Because I think the upper part is a little bit down. Maybe just use this brush to get rid of this line here. And I think we can just make it a little bit small to make a little bit dent area here, just to make your sculpting a little bit interesting. Maybe just cover it in, holding control to cover it in a bit. Use that. And yeah, let's just leave it here. And let's adjust the proportion here, so we can go to 3 and side view. And what I'm going to do is to make it smaller, so I can clearly see this shape here, and the volume right here is definitely need a little bit fine tuning. So I'm going to make it bigger and get a hold of it. Right, so I'm trying to get a little bit curved shape here, so let me add a little bit here and make it bulge out a little bit. Okay, add a bit of fine tuning and left and right. So if you are seeing it in a different perspective, you might find something more interesting. Do not just use the 1 and 3 and say that's it. Okay, so you need to constantly just move it, turn around, something like that. So I think I might be able to just adjust the butt a little bit. So I'm going to try to make it like a sort of a curve shape here, and the bottom part would just be a sort of a straight line here. Let me push the butt up a little bit. Okay, so maybe this area is a little bit small. Let me add a little of it. Yeah, but don't overdo it because that would be weird. I'm just add a little bit of volume here so I can see it from the side. Okay, it's pretty beautiful shape. And I'm thinking about the adding a little bit landmark here. So you know that we got knee area, so you got a knee, and then you got the leg here. So let me just move it, make it bigger, and adding a little bit here. But I think I'm going to just add a little bit of strength here. Okay, so yeah, this is the way that I add the landmark. And what I'm going to do is to use it as a landmark and to turn this leg backward a little bit, so it become more natural. Okay, so I already add a landmark, and what I'm going to do is to use this brush bigger, right, and just to grab it, but not too much. Okay, so give it a little nice curve here. Okay, and make it smaller. I think I'm going to remesh it, and the funny thing about mesh is that remesh is a calculated process. So if they got two objects that are too close, but just mess it up and connect it, you didn't want that, so that's why you need to make your two legs split out. Okay, you don't want it to just accidentally sort of combined together. All right, so let's just push and drag leg out a little bit. Okay, and make it smaller. Just influence this two part. Just fine tuning these two legs. We don't want this to sort of combined together. Okay, and 3, very nice curve here. Of course, you can just get a hold of this part. Okay, you can just go 3, get a hold of this part and drag it. Okay, so got a nice curve shape, and of course this will change the volume a little bit. So let's adding that by make it smaller, since we already got this the digital mark here. So landmark, I'm going to add muscle like this. Okay, so we got a muscle here and here. This is two of the most prominent muscle here. And of course, if you go to the side, we also got a muscle like this. Okay, so coming from back and to the front, and this muscle will be bulged here. Okay, and I think that's pretty good. Or we already got this knee part here. Okay, and then we can make it smaller, just to make it, got it down like this. Add a little bit here and there, just to make it filled with and of course Control R to remesh it. Okay, so yeah, it looks pretty good. And a little volume here and there. And we're going to cut it, because if you look at the leg part, you get a pretty prominent indentation. So I'm going to add that later on. This butt part, I need to fine tune that a little bit. Okay, let me just add that here, make it more prominent. This part should be a prominent part. Okay. And of course you can just smooth it out by making it pretty big, but strength should be subtle. You don't want it to just to make it like smooth and mirror, but smooth enough to make things more natural rather than pretty weird shape. Okay. That looks pretty good. Of course, you can add a little bit volume here to make it more natural by making it small. It's already pretty subtle, so we can add in some volume here just to make sure this area standing bulged out but not too prominent. Remember, we got the muscle at the left and right here. And of course, you smooth it. this part small, adding a little bit. Okay, pretty good. And this volume is lacking a little bit, and I think the lag may be the direction of the lag is not too good, so let me just adjust that a bit. Okay, so maybe to close it up, and this way we got more leeways to add more volume in the left and right. Okay, so let me make it fairly small, adding volume here. And be extremely careful about the connection error, because you don't want to remesh it and you got connected, messed up all together. You clearly don't want that. So it's probably just give it pretty stretch out the leg, so you get more leeway to doing it. In case you got a mess up, you need to drag and pull all sort of things all over again. Okay. Right, I think that's pretty much it, because I realized that this video is pretty long right now, so I'm going to pause it and make another video, because I think lead is the pretty good practice of how to sculpt a pretty big bulk of muscle. Yeah, I'll do that in the next video. I think maybe finish with the thighs, whereas the leg part, and spend another time to do the feet. And yeah, I think that's it. And if you are interested in the sculpting or digital art, feel free to subscribe to my channel. And I got another channel to sort of bring our digital assets to life by using the sculpted art into a game engine such as Unity or Unreal Engine, and sort of animate it and just bring it to life and make it your own game with it. And another problem that I find out is that I think the proportion of the arm is a little bit, I think maybe a little bit short. I mean, you may need to stretch it up a bit, because I think I may overdo it previously, just adjust the proportion, because previously I think the arm is pretty long, and just squish it a little bit. And of course, there's always another way to look at things by switching on this viewport shading part, and things we already got pretty decent detail here, so you can clearly see this lighting. For you can get a sun, you can get a point light. Point light is a little bit low lighting power, so maybe area light power 100, maybe 1000 will be pretty decent light. And the sun, if you got a 1000, is pretty big, maybe just a 100, so you can damp things up and look at it from a different angle. And you can always get rid of a certain part to look at things. So for now, we haven't got any of the material yet, but we can by just choosing it and adding material by just choose one. Okay, we can get all sort of material. We can even get a certain color to it. Okay, we can just choose, assign that a color. I think maybe just this is just a quick way. I'm not going to just adding the material information in this video, but we will do that in a later video. So maybe I can even got a sort of darken it a little bit, okay, but not unhealthily dark. So yeah, you can do that, and you can render a little bit, and you can see it. I think the back is looks a little bit realistic, okay, but back to chest looks pretty good, but the lower body part is still not good enough, so you may be able need to adjust that, okay. And of course you can dampen his skin color to make it more realistic. That's my personal opinion. If you make it dark, much more dark. It will give a more realistic feeling, because we can't possibly get a pretty high reflective like this become a little bit fake. So if you are lacking of detail, this is a technique that we often use, especially in game or in movie. So if you are lacking of a detail, you can always make things pretty dark. Okay, so others can't see the detail. Okay, so this is sort of a hide the detail and make the contrast more outstanding, so you can clearly see the this is much more realistic than if you light it up. Okay, so but that's not always the case. This is just some of the small tip that you can use, or of course you can just add another more detailed texture to it. Okay, so yeah, I think that's it. It's pretty long. It's nearly 1 hour, and I tend to make my video no longer than 1 hour, because that's definitely too long. And yeah, and if you are still there, you can feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and there is all my social media info. And yeah, bye.